Live from Ojai. It's Wednesday.
Thank you, Mr. Rogers. We are returning from closed session at 6:36 p.m. I will do the readout, but I'll give you the heads up. No action was taken. Only guidance was given to our legal counsel on both of the items, as well as direction to our negotiators for the second item in closed session. So I'll get to that again, but no action was taken. So I'll first, as always, start with our agenda item 2.1. This is our land acknowledgement, which I will now read. We acknowledge that Ojai Unified is settled on unceded Chumash land. We honor and pay respect to the Chumash community and their elders, both past and present, as well as future generations, for the Chumash still exists today and will continue to exist. We hope this acknowledgement and our close relationship with the Chumash community continues to produce honest and respectful discourse about the history of this land, which ultimately helps strengthen the educational journey of Ojai Unified students. So now we'll go on to agenda item 2.2. If you are able to, please stand up and we'll do the Pledge of Allegiance. Ready, begin.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Now we'll go on to agenda item 2.3. I already kind of gave it to you all, but read out on closed session if any action was taken. No action was taken in tonight's closed session. Now we'll go on to agenda item 2.4, emergency additions and or modification to tonight's agenda. Anything from the trustees? Trustee Moncharge.
Yes, please pull 6.9 from the consent calendar. I have a few things to discuss with you all, most notably the proposed contracts with the two sets of attorneys. I've had some discussions and revised one of those contracts to our benefit.
Okay. To pull 6.9 off consent. Anything else from the trustees? Seeing none. Okay. Can we approve this agenda with that change? Is there a motion?
I'll move to approve.
So moved by Trustee Smith, second by Trustee Halverson. All those in favor say yes.
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 Yes, that passes 4-0. And yes, just so that we will be a 4-0 board tonight. Trustee Brainy couldn't make it tonight. And we'll allow her to share that when she comes back, if she's okay sharing that. So it'll be a 4-0 board tonight. Okay, now we'll move on to, give me 1 second here. I just had it in front of me. Yeah, now there we go. Approval of the minutes. Thank you, Dr. Knox. Now we're going to go next to approval of the minutes from last month's agenda, June 4th, June 18th, regular board meetings, 2 months ago. Now, is there any questions or concerns from the trustees on those minutes? Okay, is there a motion to approve? So moved by Trustee Reyes, seconded by Trustee Smith. All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
That passes, yes, passes 4-0. Thank you. Now we'll go on to correspondence regarding important district matters. We didn't get any from the County Office of Education or anyone else, so that is blank tonight. Monthly communications, public comments. If anyone would like to give a public comment, you can go and fill out the paper in the back of the room and present it to the front. We have one from our very own Mr. Jake Hansen. Thank you, Mr. Jake Hansen, for being here. Would you like to give your public comment? You have 3 minutes once you begin. Thank you.
No problem. Well, I just wanted to check in and say, Ty, as a teacher coming back, I'm looking really forward to the upcoming school year. And some of the board members I saw out this summer, it's really nice seeing you all. Like, Kathy, I feel like I see you all the time at Costa del Lago. And Atticus, I see you out walking your dogs. You're in the same neighborhood. And Mr. Halverson, I see you at Ojai Band in the Park. Didn't get to see Phil or Blair out this summer, but it's just really nice being like a community member, living in the district, seeing the school board out. It's just really nice to feel like we're all on the same team. And it was just nice seeing you all this summer and looking forward to the school year.
Thank you, Mr. Hansen, as always, and thank you for your service to our students and our community. I see no further public comments. We have one coming in. I had a feeling. Okay. Don't worry. No rush. Would you like to, can we have it so we can have your name so we can put in the record?
Certainly. I'm Clay Creasy.
Clay Creasy.
Yes, and I'm here with Mike Gaidano. We're both board members of the Ojai Performing Arts Theater, which is currently running our play Mary Shelley, Year with No Summer, in your auditorium here next door. The reason I wanted to come here tonight was to both thank you for the use of the auditorium, let you know we installed free of charge to the district a $2,000 electric circuit in the back of the theater that is a 30 amp circuit that allows you to run large video projection equipment there without blowing a fuse. But the main reason I'm here is OPAT. I and my wife, Kimberly Barnes, were appointed the new co-chairs this year, taking over from Joan Kemper, who we all know has run it since we were all in diapers. And we are this year starting a scholarship program where we will devote money to young people who want to get into the technical side of the performing arts, be it sound, light, stage management, that sort of thing. So if you all have any talented students who want to do a summer internship somewhere or some sort of training program, we are going to shortly, in another month or so, be opening up nominations for that sort of stuff. And we look forward to being able to support the rising artists in this community who can, learn and prosper and help us run our weird projection thing in the other theater there. So that's my message today. Thank you.
Question, Mr. Creasy, this is for technical people rather than actors, right?
Yes, that is correct. The emphasis is on the technical side. Starving artists, actors, they're on their own right now.
Just want to make sure we understand so we can pass that information along to the appropriate people.
Right. In fact, we just serendipitously met with Jake, a few minutes before the meeting started and have already got him ramped up on this. So we look forward to being able to have a great partnership with you guys. Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here and also for sharing this, but also for that contribution to the auditorium.
You're
Really,
welcome.
really appreciate it. I think there's something else that wants to be added here. You might want to use the microphone so everyone can hear you at home.
Hi, my name is Mike Gaidano. Many of you might know me because I'm on the board with OPAT. And so Joan Kemper is a wonderful person to work with. My part of the organization is do event planning. I have spoken to a few people that are talking about improvements they might want to make on the theater. We had proposed something quite some time ago in reference to helping out with the soundboard and the lighting board, but it apparently wasn't possible at that time. However, I, for one, am interested if anybody wants to talk with us about putting together something that many of the parents might be interested in and doing some fundraising to help improve the theater. And that's it.
Thank you so much for sharing that. I think we'll have people reaching out to you shortly. Okay, now I see no other public comment. We'll move on to our employee union president's comments. I don't believe I see CSEA President Jaylene Morrison, nor do I see OFT President Richard Bird here today, correct? Okay, perfect. They're enjoying the summer. They'll be back soon. Now we'll go on to board members' reports. Any board members? I always look to Trustee Smith first.
Sure. Each month we want to thank our generous donors that contribute to classrooms directly, but to overall programs, including what OPAT just described. Those improvements are important to our district. Within the board agenda, you can see that Gail Childress, the donation that is represented for her is she created some beautiful license plate frames, which she sells through Miramonte School and donates the funds back to the school. So if you're interested in those, you know where to reach out. Thank you to the Ojai Playhouse. Recently, Vaughn's donated $5,000 to Nordhoff and $5,000 to Miramonte Schools. Those are well-received donations. And you can always donate to the district directly. Those donations are tax deductible within the law. But also there are the Nordhoff Parent Association, so that's nhsnpa.org, has a donation page that allows you to donate specifically to different programs that might interest you. You can donate directly to the art program, to the dance program, ceramics program, the FFA program, or just a general donation to NPA who will support all of our students. So lot of opportunities, and we appreciate all of them. That's really all I have to share.
Trustee Montrose.
I'm just going to make one comment on one of the items that's on the consent calendar that I didn't have pulled, 6.12. And I just want to thank Lexi Hicks, who's taking care of our food services for the district. When I read through this, I was immensely impressed with the fact that we have 3 different and separate local organic organizations that we are getting food for all of our students from. The extent that she went out and solicited prices from each of those organizations and picked and chose the best prices for specific items. It's a remarkable amount of time and effort. One of the groups we're getting it from is in Camarillo, one's in Carpinteria, the other one's in Downey, I believe it is. It's just a remarkable job, and everybody out there ought to know the amount of time and effort that's gone into making sure our kids are eating the best, healthiest food possible. I'm just terribly impressed. In addition to that, on 6.13, the fact that we're getting our paper supplies and a good portion of our majorities piggybacked in with larger districts so that we get a discounted rate is impressive. It's a good use of time and funds, and everybody out there ought to know that also. So that's all I want to say this month.
I'll just echo that applause to Lexi Hicks. I always love it when we have not only incredible staff, but incredible staff that are from our school district. And Lexi Hicks is an Ohio Unified alum. I went to high school with her, so it's really exciting for me to see just the incredible talent we have homegrown that's helping our district and helping our students. I'll keep my comments very short. Ranger Roundup this week, Thursday, 7th grader at Nordoff. Yes, we have 7th and 8th graders at Nordoff. If you're a 7th grader or a new student, this Thursday, 5:30 p.m., if I'm not mistaken, Ranger Roundup, and then all the other remaining grades at Nordoff High School and junior high this Friday at their various times. So Ranger Roundup, don't miss it, and I assume also enrollment. If you haven't, please enroll. So that's my comment. Trustee Halverson. Dr. Knox for your superintendent's report.
Okay, so I have an exciting announcement about enrollment. I'm almost afraid to say it, and I will preface it by saying we never, ever know our enrollment for sure until the students show up on the first day of school. But as of right now, it looks like our enrollment is 2,088 students, which will be the first time since 2001 that we will be bigger than the year prior. So it is very exciting for this district. And so hopefully they all show up on the first day of school. And if you haven't enrolled yet, please
continue to show up.
Yes. Yes. So we're very excited about that. Yeah. I was going to announce Ranger Roundup as well, so I'm glad you did. 5:30 Thursday for new students. And then several different times on Friday afternoon for the different grade levels that are returning students. Just wanted to make the community aware. Obviously, we're very excited. The first day of school is Wednesday, the 20th. Our teachers come back on Monday. We're going to be engaging in some professional development activities with them. And then our 11-month classified staff returns on Tuesday for some professional development activities. So we're looking forward to their return and getting underway to start the school year. I also wanted to mention that I had a lovely meeting with our folks that started Ranger Quest at Nordoff. If you're not familiar with it, it's a tutoring program, basically a joint effort from Nordoff Parent Association, Ohio Education Foundation, and the Rotary Club to have volunteers come and tutor and provide intervention for students at Nordoff. And they want to expand to our elementary schools. So we're very excited about that continued partnership. And I know that they're going to be reaching out in the near future to see if any community members want to be volunteers to help our students. Our first primary focus in elementary is going to be helping 4th, 5th, and 6th graders with math. From there, we'll expand to other grade levels and other subjects. But looking forward to that continued partnership. They're doing great work at Nordoff, and we appreciate the support. So that's it for me.
Thank you, Dr. Knox. And wow, what a surprise on the enrollment. That's just incredible. And that's right. Not a surprise. That's right, Trustee Montrose. No, I was in the community talking with an office, a front office worker at one of the sites, and they said, Atticus, I think you're gonna be surprised we have more enrollment, but I wanted to wait till tonight, so that's really exciting. Okay, now we'll move on to consent calendar. We did have an item pulled by Trustee Monchar, 6.9. So Trustee Monchar, would you like to go to it first?
All right, couple of things. On 6.9, number 1, there's a proposed agreement with one of the law firms we use, the 3F law firm. And reading through the agreement, I have some suggestions I'd like us to consider for staff to renegotiate parts of that agreement. Under section 6, in the second paragraph, this agreement asks that when they have multiple attorneys within their law firm conferring with each other about a matter for us, they can basically double bill us or triple bill us. I know that's a provision that sometimes appears in legal contracts. I've been involved in legal contracts for 52 years now. But I think we should try and eliminate that provision, or at least get it to indicate that each person involved bills us for half of their time. So basically, we're getting billed for one time biller for the time when they're conferring with each other. So I would recommend that you all go back to them, or authorize me to go back to them if you prefer, and try and negotiate that. In addition to that, on item 7B, they want to charge us full board for travel time. I'd like to save us some money, so I would suggest that maybe they charge us half time for travel time, which seems to be commensurate with what we have for other attorneys. We have one local attorney group in Ventura that doesn't charge us anything for travel time, but that's a little special case because they're in Ventura. So again, I'd like to ask you all to renegotiate 7B or authorize me to do that, and we can bring this contract back at next month's meeting if you all approve, and see what we can negotiate on those 2 items.
The question, Trustee Montrose, do you just want to pay that, pull that one agreement and allow us to approve all of the other
No.
agreements in that, or you want to pull the whole 6.9?
There's
till next
another
time?
one in 6.9 and we need to talk about.
Okay, so my suggestion would be, since you're now going to be talking, I'm comfortable with you and staff talking about your concerns, not tonight, and then coming back with your recommendations at the next meeting. I mean, you can announce them publicly, but I'm all in favor, if you've got questions, just reviewing them, taking it to staff. I don't think we necessarily have to discuss it in open session here. I'm not trying to shorten the meeting, although you did ask we try to shorten the meeting,
But all I recommended is you all are in agreement that we renegotiate those 2 provisions of this
I
agreement.
thought you're saying that you had another legal firm you had concerns about
I
too.
do have another one, but I've already taken care of that. If you'll just
Oh,
give me a second.
all right.
Okay, so the one we're talking about is the one that you just talked about.
Right.
These 2, I have every time we have either gone back or deputized you to talk to renegotiate these contracts, we've always gotten a better contract. So I have no problem. I have no problem either,
Right.
Yes, I've already renegotiated it. I've already
Which one?
renegotiated it. The one with AALRR.
Oh, but they're not on here
Yes,
tonight.
they are. 6.9-5.
We'll need to bring back the separate contract at another meeting as well.
We won't. I already have it.
Oh, it is on.
Well, so
It's available, yeah.
So let's just make sure we'll go through the process. So first, on the first piece, right? The first law firm, the triple F, right? The billing if they use multiple lawyers in-house, and the transportation. Let's just start there. Does anyone on the board have any issues with doing what we've done before, deputizing Trustee Moncharch either to work with our staff or to work with the legal counsel directly to renegotiate?
No.
No problem on
No
that.
objection.
No problem. Okay, now we can go to your second one.
6.9, and I'll call it -5. It's the agreement with AALRR. Just to let you all know, I looked at the proposed agreement. It is in accordance with what they wanted us to sign 2 years ago when I renegotiated with them, but it's not in accordance with what we renegotiated 2 years ago. So I went back to them this morning and asked them if they would agree to the terms that I negotiated for us 2 years ago. There are 4 or 5 different changes. They said yes. They sent me a copy agreeing to all those changes. we can put that on next month for approval if you'd like, because the terms of our existing contract with them say until we ratify the new contract, we're on month to month on the same terms and conditions as we've been before, which will be the exact same as the new contract. So basically, I'm getting them to roll back the prices and get rid of their admin fees and all the other kind of stuff that I got rid of 2 years ago for us. So I will give this, Kevin, to you and Cheryl, and they've already approved it on their end.
Trustee Halverson?
I still have the question then, can we go ahead and approve all of the other contracts other than those two?
Yes,
So
sir.
you're reinstating 6.9 minus those two.
That's correct.
Thank you.
And since we gave you authority the first time to negotiate the AALR and R contract, that's why you have the authority to renegotiate it again, correct?
Right.
Got it. Everyone following at home? Got it. Trustee Smith?
I would move to approve the consent calendar minus the Fagan, Friedman, and Full Frost and the AALRR contracts.
That's a motion. Is there a second?
Actually, well, if we can have discussion, because I've got.
I'll second it, and then we
Okay,
can.
discussions. Item
It's
6.
seconded. Go ahead and discuss.
Item
Yeah.
6.2, the Measure K financial report showed no encumbrances. And that's, I don't believe that's correct. It shows we have remaining funds available, 11,369,000, but I am all but certain that there are encumbrances that'll bring the adjusted funds available down to somewhere around 4 to 5 million, much of that being the remaining payments for the pool, because this board has operated that we're down to like 4 to 5 million left, and this would indicate that we have 11 million left.
It's a 6:30. It's at end of the year. So you're referring to the Measure K summary document? Fine.
Yes.
So it's a 6:30 document, so it's the year end for last year, and so we do clear all the encumbrances in order to close the books.
Oh,
So by 6:30 at the end of the fiscal year last year, we clear all the encumbrances, they roll on to next year, and you don't have a beginning of this fiscal year report in front of you.
I understand. So next month, we will see that in fact it's
Yes, absolutely.
really 4 to 5 million.
Yes.
Okay, that's fine.
Thank you for clarifying. I'm
Yeah.
sure people at home had that same question. And just to 6:30, June 30th, correct?
Yes.
Yes. Got it. Okay. All right. So we had a motion. We had a second. Nothing else. All those in favor, say yes.
Yes.
Yes, that passes 4-0. Thank you. Now we'll go on to agenda item. I believe we're now at presentations. And we have the very first presentation from our very own Ojai Valley Fire Safe Council. Executive Director Chris Danch is here, as well as Callie O'Connor's here, as well as a whole bunch of the Ojai Valley Fire Safe Council team. Great to see you all. Thanks for being here. Chris, take it away.
Right, thank you.
Or we probably need to, probably got to get the PowerPoint.
What's that?
Want your presentation up?
Yes, I do. I also want to acknowledge that I have two board members here, Randy Coggin and Wayne Maynard, in addition to Callie, our Assistant Director. So the purpose of, I'm going to start with some preliminary comments regarding this presentation. One is the purpose of it is to refresh what this project's all about, give an update of where we are, next steps to take. There are a number of slides. We're going to go very quickly. They're very wordy. Those on the working group will recognize a lot of them. Sorry about that. And we will, if the board is okay, we would like to leave copies after our presentation to be distributed to you guys to kind of read at home. The wordy parts are about the language from the state itself, the Strategic Growth Council that is funding this program. And I think it's just useful to see what the state's perspective is. And there's even an appendix on there, some additional information if you are suffering from insomnia or some problem like that. So to begin, next slide. We're going to quickly go through overview, what's success look like, the vision, collaborative stakeholder structure, partnership with the school district, and then reflections, next steps, and action items. Next slide. So this language, the next few slides, is from the state through the Strategic Growth Council. The takeaway here is that this was round one of this program with the state. Round two has been funded. So we are successful with our deliverables in this phase. We go and can apply for the second phase, which is the development phase. So that's good news. And the other thing to take away from this is that the state does take a very holistic approach. So it looks at, in its funding, both physical and social infrastructure development. So this is a very, very unusual program, and one in which a lot of discretion has been given to the communities that are subject to this grant. Next. Definition, I'll have you guys read that on your own about what does the Growth Council see as resilience. We have something we will decide here ourselves. Now, the state has its statement about that, but what is unusual in this program, when alluding to what I just said, and that is that, like, they have a few things, what they say, and then they about resilience, and they have some implementation strategies, which are just one sentences. And then they really are saying, look at, if you document that you have engaged this community and all your stakeholders and arrived at what you want to do with these centers, that's what the state will accept. Well, our job is to show that it did engage in a structure, which we'll talk about briefly. Next. Success for us, I'll just read the top line. The enhance Ojai Valley's fire and emergency resilience capacity, to build energy independence and resilient infrastructure, to create vibrant community gathering hubs. That's a big part of social cohesion, which is a huge element of resilience for a community, and strengthen community self-reliance and economic diversification. Next. As I just stated, the program will fund both physical infrastructure, whether it be new construction, retrofits, or upgrades. That includes also the things that are around the centers themselves, called campus amenities. It'll fund that. And what's really unusual, it will also fund the development costs of the social programs and services. So it has a social infrastructure that it equally funds. Next. So the two core functions of these centers that are required, one is that they are emergency shelters and centers that allow for us to better prepare, respond to, and recover from wildfire and other disasters. It's not just wildfire. And those, as that core function, it has to have mass care shelter capacity. So these are formal evacuation centers that can house people and feed them and everything else. So that's, and it's interesting too, because that's like part of the largest infrastructure cost, but actually it's the second component that's more important on a regular basis. And that is, as we determine year-round services and programs that build overall community resilience. Next slide. So the core components from the state is multi-stakeholder partnerships. We're here with the school district on that. Robust, meaningful, and culturally appropriate community engagement, physical infrastructure investments, campus amenities, and a social infrastructure investment in services and programs. The state gives us 7 implementation strategies to put our activities under. They don't tell us what to put under there, what constitutes those strategies, or what meets them. A deliverable is we have to, in our proposed outline of programming moving into the development phase, is to address at least 4. We are confident that we can address all 7 because they're all in many ways interrelated. Next. As we've talked before, this is a 3-phase grant program. We're currently into planning, for which is in progress. That was a $500,000 grant. That's the maximum awarded. And then there's a project development grant that goes from $500,000 to $5 million per site. We have 2 sites we're targeted. And then the implementation grant goes from 1 to 10 per site. So the potential funding out of this program for both sites can total $30 million. So it's a serious investment by the state. Next. We were in the planning phase. This is the 11 that were awarded the grant out of almost 90 applications. If you see the other things, it's cities, municipalities, it's tribal units, and we're somewhat of an anomaly getting this. I can guarantee there's no other fire safe council in this program. But I think what stood out for us after talking to the grant reviewers, one is that we demonstrated an already high level of collaboration between organizations and agencies, which is the strength of this Fire Safe Council, is its many, many robust partnerships. And they said, you guys are starting where most people want to end up. The second thing that noticed was they really liked the focus, which other ones did not, and that is on doing economic development such as relocalizing food and fiber production. They really thought that was something that stood out. So and that's something that is a major aim of the centers. Next. This is a multi-year project extending potentially to 2033. We're obviously in the planning phase. We're a little less than halfway through that. And that is not a fixed schedule in the sense that depending on where we are with the two locations, assuming we go forward into the development grant, that we can start mixing implementation elements, assuming we're ready to do that. So you can start having an overlap that changes that timetable. But it is a long-term project. Next. So this is the planning phase to the end of the term, which is currently at the end of October 2026. And that's when the deliverables are due. We are looking for an extension from the state because one of the things you probably think about is, why is this taking so long, right? It's been a long time since we talked to you about getting the grant awarded. Turns out, and that state wasn't really quite ready to move on this after they had the awards. So it took a long time for them to get together and get the things together. We couldn't even start invoicing until the second quarter of this year, even though we were awarded in February of the year before. So I find it personally ironic because never in my life I have been, outside my legal practice, have I been so prompt, only to be delayed by an incomplete program. Like, there's an irony in that somewhere. Anyhow, so next slide. And this, we've already talked about what it can fund and looking at even things like local workforce development and training and education. But in the funding range that's possible is there are ways to, we hope to partner with the school district to create programming for this district and this community that is robust, innovative, and something that hasn't been delivered before. And I think that potential is very real. Next, please. I won't read this. This is examples they gave us about, what in the 7 implementation strategies. Next slide, please. And here's just, 2 of those categories. These are ideas that sprung to us immediately during the time we're actually applying for the grant. So this is just the beginning, and I won't read it, but, for example, in the relocalizing food and fiber, one is we're already working with FFA and the Grazing School of the West and everybody there. We have a regenerative agricultural cooperative that meets now under our umbrella for this project. We have sustainable housing, and we have our own grazing program. And we are looking at putting, investing in, which is outside the grant program, investing in actual food and fiber processing facilities that would service the entire county, by the way, but also would bring it back home. I note the fact that when I was a young person, even into my high school years, that's a long time ago right here, it was that pretty much all of our food came within 50 miles of my home. And that's something, given where we're going with energy and materials and everything else, we need to get back to that. But the educational and work possibilities and the workforce training and everything that comes with that is part of that enormous potential that we have here. Next. Obviously, with the 2 centers we're looking at, one Summit School and the Arner Farm. We'll talk about the Arner Farm tonight. Next. Very nice drone shot of Summit, don't you think? So we are looking at Summit with the potential of new construction on the vacant area. Between our collaborative work on this, whether or not we move forward, that's a decision to be made after evaluation. Might want to use the buildings if that's possible. We don't anticipate or want to just place any school activities on the site. Okay, so next. Key to understanding this project is our planning phase deliverables. So we have to demonstrate the community engagement and outreach. We have that through our collaborative structure of the community at large. And we'll be holding meetings at both sites and in those and actually down to the neighborhood level in the areas surrounding these sites. We have to have a formal collaborative stakeholder structure as will formalize partnerships, whether it be partnership agreements or MOUs, to demonstrate that's what we're doing. We'll talk about with then in next steps with the school district. By the end of the term, we need to demonstrate site control if we want to move into the development phase. And site control is going to tie the property up for a minimum of 15 years, as required by the grant. So that's going to be at some point. We have put the time we'd like to have that decided before the end, because there's lots to do once we decide that this is committed, we're going this way, that we have money to spend that we'd rather not do if we're not going to utilize the site. And then we also have money to create permit-ready designs for 2 islanded microgrids at both sites. And then we have site evaluations going on. That's mostly focused on the honor farm. We're currently doing some seismic analysis, moving on to structural engineering assessments. And then we have to have an idea of programming of where we're going to go. So we're looking at, if we choose both sites or whatever site, we have renderings, a site plan of what we're planning to do with the building and the amenities. We have to have renderings, elevations, floor plans, and preliminary cost estimates that we have to turn in moving into the development grant. Next. We have organized the collaborative stakeholder structure. That's our decision how it's organized, not the state's. At the middle of that is the core working group, which is the main decision-making body. Dr. Knox and Mr. Reyes is on the core working group. Kevin, you're also invited, by the way. That meeting cadence is once a month. From there, we also have a steering committee, which is sort of the project at whole that takes in and reports to the core working group. We have operational advisory committees for both sites and community advisory committees for both sites, and we'll show the timeline in a second. And then we have the community at large, which is the community engagement aspect of the collaboration. Next. One of the things the state wants is to see transparency and equitable decision-making. For those in the working group, we've already talked about how do we make decisions, how do we resolve conflict, how we do that, and we're moving towards an agreement on how that happens. That must be reflected in all of our formalized agreements with whatever stakeholders are required to have those agreements. Next. This is the core working group. Obviously, the top row is Ojai Valley Fire Safe Council staff. And then we have the fire department through Salim Mumi. We have the school district. We have our architectural consultant, Mark Whitman. And then Help of Ojai is there because Help of Ojai has the master lease on the Honor Farm Parcel 1 and also is the holder of the CUP. And then we have the county, and that's Matt Levere and Brian Brennan, and also, is it Lori Fay? Is that her name? I can't remember. Lori Key has also been present at our meetings. Next. The role of the core working group is a central decision-making body. We just talked about the membership of that. Next. What's that? And this is just a listing of possible collaboration opportunities, but this is by no means, the limit of that. Next. We'll go through this. You can read this later. Next. So we need to start the process, and I'm hoping to begin this at the next school board meeting, and that is begin the process of this formalizing the collaborative effort. Do that through an MOU process. And my hope is to be able to have this on the next calendar, next agenda, next month, and before that time, timely have to you a draft of the beginning of that MOU to see that you want to commit to this process. And the purpose of that MOU is not just to document the process and not just but it's also there to move us towards how we evaluate, make the decision, and how we can move the process towards site control. And also, it's the tool to look at and explore the potential programming between us. When I say the programming of the school district, it isn't just, hey, here's Summit School, go for it. It's really this entire project, which basically encompasses the watershed, is to look at how we can have a robust partnership with this district as, and continue its role as one of the centers of this community. Next. Next step, one is the access agreement. We have that also in front of the county. I'm asking for approval of that tonight, as in the agenda. Start the process, the MOU process, leading toward whether or not we're going to commit to the site control and, execute the MOU, commit to the process. We're going to begin this is generally speaking, not just for the school district. Because we're doing this with other groups as well. And then we're going to begin our community engagement implementation through workshops and neighborhood meetings and community events. We hope to have them at the sites because that builds support and starts that input from the community. And then, of course, we're initiating structural assessments and microgrid feasibility studies, permit studies. Next. So we have the cadence of once a month with the core working group. And then we are looking at our quarterly reports, of course. And then our community outreach is to start. Before that, we're looking at the steering committee formation and kickoff, and the operational committee and kickoff, and the community advisory kickoff. So it's a busy time between now and the end of December. And this is the full ramping up of what we're going to be doing here. And then, of course, we have site evaluations going on, and we're going to start starting a workshop series. Next. So next steps, pursuant to specific to Summit School, access agreement, begin the MOU process, hopefully first draft for next month. We're asking if we are committing to moving forward, asking the school district to request a waiver of the surplus property process from the state. The education code does allow that. And the exceptions to not granting it are not present here. So it actually has a shall after it in the education code. And then ultimately, as a grant deliverable, we need to document site control. The current form envisioned and approved by the state legal would be an option agreement to a ground lease. And that, as discussed in the core working group, we need all sides to have flexibility in this, though it's a binding document, obviously. But because this project is big and complex, and quite frankly, in the end, bigger than the Fire Safe Council's mission, we don't know where this is ultimately going to land. That's all part of this process. It's very likely it lands up in a new entity, may even end up, if I have my way, into some form of taxable district to support these centers. But that being said, so the built into that option agreement will be flexibility as to assignment and things like that, because we don't know where this is ultimately going to end up, but I have to demonstrate that to the state in order for us to move forward. Next. And with that, I'll be quiet. And thank you for allowing this opportunity, the interest in this project. Here's our visionary 2028 newspaper article that we like to look on a pro forma basis there. And I look forward to a robust and engaging and fun partnership. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. And before we go to questions and discussion, I just want to in case we have questions, I just want to set the stage that Dr. Knox and I are serving on this core working group, and a lot of what we're seeing, and we've talked about this over and over, is, this is such an innovative grant that the state created, that the governor's office created. And it's frankly the best way I can try to put it. It's kind of chicken and the egg situation. Is this process seems to be very clear. Collaborate, hear from your collaborative partners what they want. So it's hard to kind of, this is what it is, because so much of the process is dependent on, hear from your collaborative partners what it should be. And Dr. Knox and I were sitting there going, this is hard for us to put input as the school district, because we're just the superintendent and one board member. So this really needs to be a board discussion so that the board can put their input, because we're talking about tonight in front of us is a small thing. It's the access agreement, but the much larger project, and you hit it right on the head, Chris, it's a transformational, but it is a large project on our properties, right? So that is a real serious thing that needs to be talked about at the board level. So just want to set that stage that we've been attending these monthly meetings, but we really needed to bring this to the board because we couldn't input much at those meetings because we're not the board. We're just part of it. So I want to first start off if there are any questions that trustees have.
For the questions, I'd like to add that, yes, this is a big project. And as far as the district concerns, it's much more than just the two core working group members. So yes, in the MOU, we want to, which is just a document that's going to evolve over time So obviously, we'll agree upon its contents and how we're going to do things. But in there is how do we, like you two are probably going, oh my God, another set of meetings. But how do we engage the whole board in the school district? How do we do that, right? Because you are probably one of the #1 stakeholders in this process. So, and that's even regardless of Summit. So I'm saying that MOU is going to look at how do we do this? How do we actually address something of this scale and this complexity and this breadth and this openness about how we do it? This is not being dictated to us. So in some ways, it's like, well, this is really something that the state would do this. On the other hand, it's like, wow, what do you do with this? So,
So I'm very much in favor of continuing at this time, being a stakeholder. I think it's a program, it's got a lot of progress, and I don't really think we need to go down the road. Let's look at the MOU with that same, I'm very much in favor of continuing as a stakeholder. Let's see what we can work that out. Because I'd like to move on to other people here for presentations too. The only question I have on the agreement is item number 11 on page 3, which says this permit may be canceled by the Ojai Valley Fire Safe Council upon written notice. I'll defer to Trustee Moncharge. It seems to me that should be reciprocal both ways, that it could be canceled by OVFSC or by OUSD upon written notice. And it would also seem to me that you would give written notice with 30 days. I don't know. You tell us, Trustee Moncharge. It seems like it should go both ways.
Well, we're giving them permission to come on our land for up to 24 months, so we ought to have the right to cancel that if for whatever reason we decide we don't want them on our land. It's a simple request.
So I'd like to make I guess a motion to the board that, pardon me, it's a suggestion. Or suggestion, isn't this an action item? It's stated as an action item. I would like to amend number 11 to say that this permit may be canceled by OVFSC or by OUSD upon written notice.
I don't see any issue with that. Any issue? No. Is that the last of your question?
Yeah.
Okay. I think I had a question. So just to help clarify, because I know it's in here, but what does that mean, access agreement? Sounds like you all, so just confirm, Chris, if I'm correct in assuming this. You all have been embarking on this project. You're really looking at this site. I agree with you, Trustee Halverson. We'll get to those subsequent things when we get to those subsequent items. This reads to me, you all want access to the land so you could check it out, right? Is this what we are aware of it looking like? Utilities, things like that. And then also, if you're doing fundraising, if you're trying to show people we have this idea that we want to do, you should come see it, right? So that way we can get more eyes on it. Am I correct that that's essentially what the
fundraising and part of the community engagement process.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Which actually is bigger than the fundraising aspect of it. And that is to get people on site, get people, obviously that's different than meeting someplace else and talking about the site remotely, right? Also, we are looking at things here in the fundraising aspect that, quite frankly, the 500,000 seems like a lot of money, but what we have to do for it, right? So we are looking for additional funding to help us with this, but also to get people excited about things where they'll say, we'll do this if this develops, right? So we have some pro forma stuff going forward that we are developing at this stage. So when we get to the development stage, we can show that we have this interest expressed, because this kind of project could give rise under a ground lease to private investment as well, and other forms of investment like bonding. So it is, yeah, so that you're right. But it's access to the site where and of course, if we're going to have an event there, we obviously give notice. This is what we're going to do. This is the expected numbers. Obviously, you're all invited to that. But yeah, we just want the flexibility of looking at the site and using it to move through this program at our discretion when we want to. You guys are already an AI on our insurance policy for a variety of reasons. So, but that's what we're looking for. So it's different than just a facilities use agreement. Obviously, it's beyond that.
I appreciate that. However, I think when the general public does come for an event, I think we need to think of those same restrictions or those same provisions and protections that the district would have if we had a facility use agreement for a particular event. I approached that with staff already. They had some answers to that, but I don't want us to miss those moments. I also wanted to know, you said the unused playground area. Are we really talking about the building being on the playground area or on the parcel behind it that the district owns?
Well, there's a large vacant area that's to the west of the buildings and the parking lot that actually wraps around like an L.
Right.
So we're looking primarily at that. Though we go through this process, it may be, well, we have a use for these buildings and everybody agrees that's a good use for these buildings. We don't, that's something to be decided. But our principal aim right now is looking at new construction on that vacant area that is, I think, is approximately 4 acres.
I'm not sure. So it's the highway facing portion,
Right.
not necessarily the field behind the open playground.
Yeah, we can go back to the aerial and take a look.
Yeah, and this is what I was also struggling because Phil and Trustee March and I were looking. I don't know if we got the attachment A because we were trying to look at the map of it. If there's a way we can pull it up, because I think he is talking about Trustee Smith west of the campus and the parking lot, and then it wrapping
Wrapping
around.
around to the north.
To clarify, though, the access agreement is for the whole site.
Yes.
And ultimately, the assessment of what they find there might dictate what they actually end up asking for officially.
Agree.
Yeah, exactly.
Not that we have any plans for that landlocked parcel, but it's always good to know what's happening. And I think I appreciate the use of Summit School if it turns out that way for the Upper Ojai community who were most distressed during the Thomas Fire. So I like that they would have additional resources they didn't have before. But certainly I see how the district is intertwined in this whole process more than just that location.
Yes.
As Nordoff is the premier and will always be site during fires.
Yeah, and as an emergency site, of course, it would serve people coming from other, like Santa Paula, for example. So it depends on, fire behavior and evacuation, things like that. But yes.
Okay, the only other issue is this presentation was not in our packet. So if we can get that uploaded onto our website so the public and we can see it, I appreciate it.
Yeah, I want to reiterate, though, I think what Chris was referring to when he said that we're a partner, the emergency use is the least amount of the opportunity as far as the time that it'll happen to be emergency centers. The idea that it's an educational location is where the true partnership with the school district lies, because there can be a lot of programming that our students can particularly benefit from, as well as the community. And so I think that's what you were referring to more than, yeah.
Because the emergency aspect may take up a lot of the infrastructure dollars that are allocated in this program, but it's actually in our minds, I mean, it's very important, but it's not the most important thing about this project. The most important thing is the other 99% of the time that we're going to be using these sites and the programming that's being developed and funded. So that's the yes.
I won't belabor the point, but I concur with all of these comments. Number one, to Trustee Smith, Upper Ojai is 2 ways in and 2 ways out. And it doesn't take much to have a landslide on one, and now everyone's locked. And what if you have a fire on the other side? Our neighbors up there, they need something to feel safe, and they need a site. But then also, conjointly with what Dr. Knox is saying, success in an emergency moment is on your preparation and your proactiveness. We also can create a site here or year-round programming that does proactive preventative measures across that area, which we know have measured scientific success once a fire or something happens, and not just do that programming. We could have our students involved in that, so they become the next generation of first responders, emergency, responders, environmental stewards. We have so much environmental resources in this valley. This is way down the line, but I just really think this project is transformational in its potential. So, but before us tonight is the access agreement. So if there's any questions or comments.
Just to respond to you, Kathy, and that is we would follow the rules of the district for events. We do carry extensive event insurance ourselves. So obviously we're primarily responsible for that.
Thank you.
But we, of course, respect the district rules on the use of any event there. But I think having events there to build support and gather input is critical to have it on site to do that.
Very important.
Just a couple of questions for you, Chris. Make sure I understand. You want access to the entire property, including the rooms, the buildings, and everything else like that. Okay? You want access for 24 months? How come 24 months?
Well, when I wrote this, we had 24 months left on the 2-year grant term. So, you know, we could, I said that because I didn't want to have an arbitrary, I don't know when the date's going to end, right? And we are seeking an extension for that, right? So I just want to put it out there. But we will have our decisions made between us and you, the decision made, whether this is going to be committed to this project before that time, because as you can see from the timeline, we go back and look at the slide, the second round applications open before the end of this grant term. So we need to be ready for that if we're going to move forward.
The idea is for you all to figure out whether this is a potentially suitable site for this big project, right? And if so, what portion of it would be?
Yes, so it's a suitable site, and if it is, what are we going to put there, and how's it, how's that going to work in the community? What are going to be the necessary infrastructure there, both on the structure and the surrounding amenities? How we do that, and what kind of programming do we envision? Because aside from the emergency function, there is conceivable programming that would actually affect physical infrastructure requirements. That's more so at the Honor Farm, we believe. But because we're looking at the whole 112 acres there and looking at down the road significant investment in that property for the community. But still, what we do there is going to inform the physical infrastructure improvements.
Do I assume you mean when you say what we're going to put there, what you're going to recommend to us that we agree to put there since it's our property?
We're going to look at, one, is the property committed? Do we have the site control? Then we all decide, and that's what the core working group comes in, is the ultimate decision maker of all this input is the core working group that decides, okay, this is what we're going to put forth to the state. Right?
Just so the
It'll
public
be the programming we present.
just so the public doesn't think we're ceding our ownership rights or interests or control over the property at this point in time.
Other than through the exercise of the ground lease, but even so, it remains the owner in the property of the school district.
And do I understand that during the term of this access agreement, there will be no cost to the school district nor the possibility of any cost? It looks like you've tied up all your indemnifications, all covering all the costs, all the damages, everything else like that. Okay, just something important for everybody to understand.
No, we do not intend to have any cost borne by the school district, other than time.
Those were my questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Absolutely. It seems like there's no more questions or comments.
All right, so I would make a motion that we approve the access agreement with the one modification that I added.
Fantastic. I'll second it. Seeing no discussion on it. All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Yes, that passes 4-0. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Ojai Valley Fire Safety Council, for being here.
See you in September with the MOU draft in front of you in time to be considered at that meeting, would be my hope. Thank you very much for your time and attention. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Chris. Good work. Okay, now we'll go on to our next agenda item. This is a presentation. Thank you, Callie. I was going to say, it looked familiar. Okay. Are we good to keep going, y'all? Fast break? Keep going. Good to keep
I think we should at least get through this one. They've been waiting a long time. We got to get home to their families.
Fantastic.
In case anybody else wants.
Okay. What is it?
Can I introduce them?
Absolutely. Because
Okay.
for the acronym. Okay, we're going to go here, folks. I know we're talking a little bit. That's okay, but we're going to go to the next agenda item. It's really, really important. So,
Yes.
Dr. Knox,
So
introduce it.
the state has a new program. The acronym is CYBHI, and you're going to learn all about it from our point people who are heading up this new program that the state has provided to us. And we have our head mental health clinician here, Beth Burke, and Carrie Holden, one of our counselors from Nordoff, who are the point people for this. So take it away.
Well, I guess we don't need to introduce ourselves. Thank you so much, Dr. Knox. That was the first thing. And so sorry to be introducing another acronym and that a long one for you guys. And I'm so sorry. It wasn't my choice, but we're going to get there. So next slide, please. All right, so what is CYBHI? So CYBHI stands for the California Youth Behavioral Health Initiative. And this is a 5-year, $4.7 billion investment for the state of California. And it's a statewide initiative that aims to improve access to behavioral health programs and wellness services in schools. I won't read the rest of it, but basically we're going to be able to do like health centers are and bill for the behavioral health services that we're providing. We're already providing these services. This is just a brand new way that we can be billing for the services and bringing in revenue that we haven't previously had. So go to the next one. Oh, so I was going to show this video really quick, 3 minutes and 10 seconds if you guys could. This is from DHCS. Oh, well, maybe we can find it. Yeah, there should be a Google slide. But yeah, the Department of Health and Children's Services has put out a video, and I just wanted to get their take on this program. Oh, I need to give you guys access. Oh no. Sorry for the technical difficulties. I don't know. I can look. Is there a way to do it through email? Yeah, it's on YouTube. Let's do that. Sorry, guys. Sorry for the technical difficulties. I was like, hopefully slide 3 works with the embedded video, and of course it didn't. Is it there?
Hello,
Ah, well, not that guy.
my name is Adam Ferrari, the Chief.
Get through the ad. All right, there we go.
Look for an ATM from our bank.
Oh, YouTube. Sorry, everybody.
The California
This is
Department
it.
of Healthcare Services, or DHCS, is sharing this video with county offices of education, or COEs, and local educational agencies, or LEAs, including charter schools, to introduce an important new opportunity to increase funding for school-based behavioral health services in public schools, including K through 12, colleges, and universities throughout the state. As part of the Children and Youth Behavioral Health Initiative, or the CYBHI, DHCS aims to expand access to school-linked behavioral health services by implementing a new and sustainable source of funding for behavioral health services that requires Medi-Cal Managed Care Plans, or MCPs, Medi-Cal Fee-for-Service, or FFS, commercial health plans, and disability insurers to reimburse schools providing covered services to students at a school site. This new program will go live with the first cohort starting January 1st, 2024, the second cohort in July 2024, and the third cohort in January 2025. This video will answer the following questions. What is the fee schedule? How does this CYBHI fee schedule differ from the Local Educational Agency Medi-Cal Billing Option Program, or LEA BOP? How does this fee schedule benefit LEAs? Which providers are eligible for reimbursement? What resources are available to COEs and LEAs to implement the CYBHI fee schedule? As part of Governor Newsom's Master Plan for Kids' Mental Health and the CYBHI, California is making critical investments. The CYBHI aims to transform the system of services and supports to strengthen access to services for children and youth with emerging or existing behavioral health needs. A pivotal component of this initiative is improving access to school-based behavioral health services for students under the age of 26 at all public schools, colleges, and universities in California. In an effort to expand access to school-based behavioral health services, DHCS is establishing a statewide multi-payer school-linked fee schedule. This fee schedule will define a scope of services inclusive of both outpatient mental health and substance use disorder services, identify applicable billing codes and rates, and specify provider types eligible to bill for services. The intent of this new program is to allow LEAs and their employed, contracted, or affiliated providers to obtain reimbursement from Medi-Cal MCPs, Medi-Cal FFS, commercial health plans, and disability insurers, which are obligated under state law to reimburse eligible school-linked providers. This includes pupil personnel services, or PPS, credentialed practitioners employed by LEAs to provide services to students. You may be wondering how this program
All right,
differs
David,
from
we can stop
existing
it now.
programs.
I just wanted the first 3 minutes and we can move on to the next slide. So yeah, basically the video is telling us that this is a brand new initiative in the state of California, and it's a way that we're going to be able to make our behavioral health and wellness services in the schools sustainable by billing just like health clinics do, just like behavioral clinics do. So it's services that we're already providing, but now we have a new way to bill for them. So I'm just going to do a little bit more of the 30,000-foot view, and then I'll do a deeper dive into how it applies to Ojai Unified. So it's easy to access, it's sustainable, it establishes an across-the-board minimum rate at which we will get paid for the services. And we can go to the next slide. And then it also establishes who can do those services. So I'm an LCSW. My staff are all associates and trainees working under my license. There are 10 of them. They can all provide these services. But in addition, PPS counselors, such as Carrie, will also be able to provide those services out of the Wellness Center, which we'll talk about, but also just in their offices. So the academic counselors, if they're doing socio-emotional counseling, they'll be able to provide these services and bill for them, as well as Nurse Haley will be able to provide for anything behavioral or not boo-boo care, but anything behavioral, she'll be able to bill for, as well as our school psychologists. So there's a lot of us that are already doing the work. It's just a way that we can bring in now this new way to bring in revenue. Next slide. And then we should all be familiar with the MTSS, and I won't go through this with a fine-tooth comb, but just to say that it does align with the multi-tiered system of support, whereby these services are going to be available universally on some level, as well as we go into some students and few students. So it's aligned with the equity, the continuum of support that we are providing already with all of our services. And the next slide will go into that a little bit more. Oops. I think should be that one, yes. So this just goes a little bit farther into some of the more behavioral components of the Tier 1, Tier 2, Tier 3 MTSS framework. And as we can see, the fee schedule services fit into each of those. And it really focuses on the whole child. It's integrated, coordinated, equity-centered, and works on prevention, not just like when something goes wrong, we have to provide these like crisis counseling services, but like how do we really do this on a more universal level so that we can use things like wellness centers to provide these services
I'm
before
going to
things go
interrupt
wrong. Yeah.
for our board and our public to make sure that they understand when we talk about these tiers.
Sure.
Tier 1 is intended for all students across the board. But we know that, out of 100% of students, there might be 15% that need more specific supports. So that's what we talk about with Tier 2. It's more acute, usually short term, but we're working with them more specifically on specific issues related to their issues. And then, of course, we know we have really acute cases of students that have really highly specialized needs. So that's what we talk about when we mean Tier 3.
Yes. Thank you, Dr. Knox. Go to the next. All right, so now diving a little bit into what this means for us, for Ojai Unified. So we are a part of a consortium and a cohort. So in January 2025, and we've been working on this since even before that, we joined the Ventura County Office of Education Consortium. So that's a group of multiple school districts. We're all going to be working together under this consortium model so that we can get things like guidance and technical assistance from the VCOE under the umbrella of VCOE and working with our counterparts there. We can get training and education through that consortium. They're going to help us with data management. I'll talk a little bit about what that looks like in the next slide. Advocacy as well as communication and collaboration. We also applied through the Department of Health and Children's Services to be a part of the cohort 3. You heard in the video, they talked about the different cohorts of school districts that apply. Ojai Unified is a part of cohort 3 that started in January 2025. So we are right on track, right in the middle. We can go to the next one. And so then if we look at the timeline, the first little flyer is from VCOE. We have definitely gone along and done these things January through June. We've ticked all the boxes, as well as in like between 2024 when this whole thing started. We weren't a part of cohort 1, of course, but that's when that one started. But we did join cohort 3 there in January 2025. There are 2 more cohorts that are after us even that are on par for doing the cohort work. But we're right on track. We're doing everything that we need to in our timeline. We've done everything asked of us thus far. So let's keep going. All right, so again, brand new, it's going to be sustainable funding. This is why we care about this, because it's been hard to build, and try to figure out even mental health funding in Ojai Unified. We used to have Help of Ojai funding, and then we used COVID funding, and then we used grant funding under the VCOE, and even we don't have any federal funding that we're using for that right now, any federal grants, but our partners down in Conejo got their federal grant pulled. It was an $11 million grant, and they got half of it pulled. And so they were scrambling. And so really sustainable ways to build these behavioral and wellness programs in schools is important. You can't really read very well, although I know. It'd be good if we could zoom in on the fee schedule. Yeah. So this is just a snippet. There's like hundreds of these in the whole full document, but this is a snippet of what it might look like, of what we could provide, and who could provide it. So the service description, and it goes by time. So every 15 minutes of preventive medicine counseling by any of the following people is going to be $35.37. Moving up to, even if you did 60 minutes of that kind of counseling, you'd get $99.17 for an individual student. And that's just a little snippet. There's group services, there's family services, there's pushing into the classroom services. I have another little slide that kind of goes over that too, but this is just a small snippet of what we can take advantage of, which is really great. It's really exciting. And this is even outdated since I turned in my presentation, but this just shows, and it's only cohort 1, and remember we're cohort 3, and we haven't even started billing yet, but just by the state, the claims received, as well as those that have been reimbursed. I think I looked just the other day, and it's up to like 400 and something thousand, so it's growing by the day. There's 30 LEAs in cohort 3 and 27 health plans that they're currently billing, but that number is just going to keep going up as we include cohort 2, as well as other cohort 3s start billing, and cohorts 4 and 5 also start billing. So there are some challenges, though. As you could imagine, this is kind of a big undertaking. I've worked in like health settings in my clinical career up until now. And so like it's been kind of a learning curve for me to figure out how to work in just like a school district. And so I've been kind of like used to this kind of billing thing, but I mean, it's a lot that needs to happen. And I'm not going to go through it with a fine tooth comb, but you can just imagine enrolling practitioners. Everybody needs a national provider identification number. So we have to get everybody one of those. We have to deliver the service and get it coded correctly so that it doesn't get denied. We have to collect the data and get our system to be able to talk to the new system that we're going to have to use. The billing infrastructure, of course, is a lot. And then just the data analytics and maintaining accountability. So there's just a lot that goes with that. However, in the next slide, we'll see one of the solutions, which I'm excited about. So as a part of the Ventura County Office of Education Consortium that we're a part of, they have chosen the platform called Healthy Campus to help us with all this. And so they are a platform there. I've worked with a lot of electronic health records in my career. They seem like a good one. We haven't been trained yet, but they seem like a really good one. They promise a lot. They've worked with like veteran systems. They're already in college healthcare systems, so they're really well vetted. I think VCOE vetted like 20, and this is their favorite one. And so as a part of the consortium, we get to take advantage of being under the Healthy Campus umbrella. And so they're already in communication with, with our IT department on how to get QSIS to talk to them. And we're going to be training with them in just a couple of weeks so that we can start to see what that's like as an electronic health record and start actually inputting our data and then being able to generate claims. So next one. And then I don't totally understand all of this, but what I will say is that Healthy Campus claims to have the highest level of data security. So for parents who might be a little bit concerned about like, okay, I'm turning in my health insurance information to Ojai Unified. What does that mean? Where does it go? I will say as an Ojai Unified parent, we already do that for field trips, guys, so let's not worry too much. However, they have the highest level of data security. It's called FedRAMP. It's the very highest level. They already deal with a lot of sensitive information. So that made me feel good, at least to know that. Moving on, so just in terms of our partnership with like VCOE Consortium and Healthy Campus, just to kind of backtrack, districts do face significant financial challenges in sustaining behavioral health programs. However, the CYBHI fee schedule can address this and make it more sustainable. However, we do need the software, the support, the infrastructure, and so that's where Healthy Campus can really come in and help us. And so I'm really excited about that collaboration and partnership with them, and the fact that as being a part of the VCOE Consortium, we get that. Makes me a lot less nervous about all this. So next slide. All right, so what else is new? So I do want to talk a little bit about what we're doing with Carrie Holden. So she's been a PPSC counselor for how long? Forever? 1990. So yes. And so we are going to have our junior high and 7th, 8th grade wellness center, and Carrie's going to be stationed there full time. So I've kind of cobbled together support. We've had the wellness center now there for a couple of years, but I've had only part-time help. We really feel like the wellness center is an awesome way to be able to roll out the CYBHI fee schedule, because literally every single service that's provided out of the wellness center or that gets pushed out, right? Because Carrie can go do a classroom presentation, and then, sorry, it's so small, but if you zoom in to the little teeny tiny, these are a couple of other examples. So she can push into a classroom and give a social emotional presentation on the wellness center, and that's $8 per student that we have the health insurance information of. So really, like, this is an opportunity for just 15 minutes. So if she did half hour, 45, yeah. So it's just, this is kind of, we haven't had this opportunity to bill like this before. We have never been able to do it. And like I said, health agencies already are, hospitals already are, you know, they're doing it. And so finally now school systems, because we have credentials and we're doing good work and we're doing comparable work to what they're doing, but now we can bill for it. So it's pretty exciting. You can zoom out again. But however, I will say that's why it's really important that we are collecting health insurance information from families. So as much that we can get, we need that, because that's going to help us. And we're not going to not provide a service to a student. We're not, if Carrie goes in and does a classroom presentation, she's going to do it for everybody. But the more students that we have the health insurance information of that we can bill, the more support we're going to get to be able to continue those services and make them sustainable. All right, so where we are, we've done a lot. We've been accepted into the consortium. We've applied for and gotten accepted into cohort 3. The next few bullet points are all of the things that we've had to do as a part of that. We've had to get NPI numbers, National Provider Identification numbers for all the eligible providers. We've had to submit different documents. We've created a Google Doc form to collect insurance information, which we will be rolling out soon. And then what's left to do is just finishing that SIS integration with Healthy Campus, so QSIS with Healthy Campus, to communicate the initiative to families and send this form via Parent Square, which I will show you in the next slide. Train office administrators. Actually, Dr. Knox already started that, so I will move that one up. And then train staff who can provide the providers like Carrie and myself and all of my staff to provide services, and then submit our first claim and see how it goes. Next. Oh, that one didn't make it in. Well, we do. Oh, that's okay. He's got it. I think it's the second or the third to the last, just right after whatever that one was. I know. Sorry, guys. I was really excited about this slide. Down, 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 down. There we go. So I just wanted everybody to see how simple, and you could actually zoom in on this, how simple the Parent Square form is. It's literally like a couple pieces of information, and that's it. So if we could, is there a way to zoom in on the Parent Square form? If not, it's okay. But yeah, you select your child. That's pretty easy. You should know who your child is. Insurance company name, member number, group number, and subscriber name. And that's all they need to give us for us to move forward with this billing. So it's pretty awesome. A couple of bullet points on the next part that I just wanted families to be aware of is that it's, again, a brand new statewide program to help support behavioral health and wellness. The payment comes directly from the insurance at no cost to families. So families won't get explanation of benefits. They won't have copays like they would if they were going to a private practice. They won't have any of that. Nothing will come home. It's just automatic. It doesn't impact the ability to get care outside of school either. They can still get their care outside of school that they want. And all of the health information will be secure with the FedRAMP with Healthy Campus. So we're really excited about it. We've got some resources there, some additional ones. I can certainly try to answer some. Oh, and then Ranger had a nice summer. You can go down to my thank you. Ranger's had a nice summer. He's my VIP dog team's therapy dog in training. He is almost done. Saturday, he takes his last test. So wish us luck. We're going to be at Home Depot doing a test. He won't be a billable provider, but he will hopefully be able to come with me to provide some comfort and support.
And so Ranger will be the therapy dog in the wellness center?
That's our hope.
Hopefully?
That's our hope. Yeah, he's training. He's still in training. We're working with an awesome not-for-profit VIP dog teams in Camarillo. But yeah, he's training to be a therapy dog.
Thank you, Beth.
Absolutely.
So I assume that's the end of the presentation.
That's
Okay,
it.
we're going to shift to questions here, and we're very lucky because we have a lot of people on this board who have skills. I'm going to immediately turn to Dr. Halverson, who's a doctor. And before I do, you answered my question about
great.
Could this result in copays to families? Really glad to hear no copays. So, Trustee Halverson.
So the $4.7 billion investment that the state guaranteed, and it's a 5-year program, and it's now already 18 months in, right?
Correct.
I guess one question is going to be, what happens in 3.5 years? Program stops, this goes away?
We may have to ask our new governor, but
No, okay.
I mean, the hope is
I don't
no.
expect you to answer that.
Yeah.
But it's a program that we're getting up as soon as we
Yes.
can, but it could end.
Yes.
Unfortunately, which would be terrible. Two, I've got to believe a lot of that must go to. So let me say I had a child, which I did years ago. They get services. You send a bill to my Blue Cross. The Blue Cross is supposed to pay the $97 back to OUSD, but Blue Cross says, well, Dr. Halverson has a $2,500 deductible. I presume that Blue Cross then says, state, you owe OUSD that deductible because we're not going to pay it because our agreement is that they have a $2,500 deductible.
Yeah.
You have to get the money from somewhere, and I have to believe it's the state that's guaranteeing payments if the family's insurance does not have to pay that.
I would imagine so. Yeah. My understanding is that families won't have to worry about deductibles, co-pays, co-insurance, any of that.
Okay.
That it's just across the board. The state has mandated that insurances will now need to.
Be ready for those questions because I could
thing.
see in the insurance industry that there's going to be an explanation of benefits coming to the parents that says, you were billed 97 by whatever you're called. I don't know if it's OUSD or the VCOE cohort or the CYBHI, but you're billed 97. We've allowed 0. You're liable for 97. Hopefully they've all come on board and are not going to do that to you, but just be aware that that could happen.
Yeah. My understanding is that no EOBs should go to the parents at all under this program.
That's amazing.
Would be, wouldn't it?
It's amazing. Okay,
hope.
good. Well, and my only other question, Atticus, I'll move right on, is so OUSD is going to be getting money for this, obviously. Where was this money? How are you getting paid for before? By grants that said we're going to give you $1 million to provide these services?
Yes.
And now you could get more or less of that. One other thing I do want to point out too is you see the delay.
Yes.
You're going to be doing things and you may not see the first payments for 3 months and you may not see 100% of the payments until 1.5 years after the program ends. So just be aware that it's still good to go out and get grants and other things too, because this is money that comes from insurance companies, which can take a long time.
Yes, no, I agree. And luckily this year we do still have all of our VCOE grants that we've had in the past that we've used to build our program, as well as we do use some earmarked mental health funds from SPED as well, because we do provide services to kiddos with IEPs and who have SPED services. So this year kind of feels like a trial year. You're right. I mean, we have all the same funding sources and we get to try this out. So I'm excited about that because I want to see how it goes. They're telling us 30 days, not 3 months, that there's a 30-day turnaround. But again, I know, right? I know. I know. We'll all be interested to see. We will.
You don't have a mandate from the governor. I have a couple of questions, and
Yes.
I want to echo Trustee Halverson's question. I mean, it seems like basically you're hoping that people who haven't been paying before for these things are going to all of a sudden start paying for them. My experience over 50 plus years of dealing with insurance companies is they don't like to pay for anything they don't have to pay for. That's not their business model. Their business model is to reward their shareholders, not to pay anybody anything. So it's an interesting question as to how it's going to work and if you're going to get paid. And this is not an action item, it's just an information item, but I'm curious what expenses we have. If you can talk to that question. Are we handling everything in-house? You're going to be handling everything basically?
With Healthy Campus, yeah.
Okay. And then what expenses do we have?
I don't think there's many expenses except for the fact that you guys did approve allowing Carrie Holden to stay on board half of a year to help be the point person for this. So that would be, I believe, the only expenditure that we have up front. And we expect to, if this all goes well, bring in far more revenue than what that cost was.
Yeah. I'm just curious if there are any other expenses, and you're saying no, nothing. All right. Well,
That I'm aware of.
good luck. Hope it works out.
This is just phenomenal. It's phenomenal. Getting people the healthcare that they deserve and making insurance companies pay for it. I'm always on board for that. The only questions I had, and I apologize, I assumed that the group had also reached out to the superintendent, and I double checked they didn't. But we had a really good local group, the Autism Society of Ventura County. They had reached out with some questions, and it was mostly about data protection, data security. So I appreciate your point on that. Especially, it sounds like if it's a third party provider, what are their protections? As you can imagine, not only all the time, people's privacy is important, but especially right now when we look at our immigrant communities, that's something that I'm glad we're focused on. And so I made sure to share those questions over here with Dr. Knox. So hopefully we can get that over to you all soon. But it's fantastic work. It's fantastic work. And I also just really appreciate the Wellness Center now being able to be fully staffed for 7th and 8th graders. I mean, unbelievable resources we have. And thank you both for doing that and everyone on your team.
I'm sorry if I missed it. What grade levels does this cover?
For the Wellness Center or for the
No,
entire
the
program?
wellness-
Yeah.
right.
Any-
All K through.
Correct. Correct. Yeah. Anybody under the age of 26. Yeah. 26th birthday.
Okay, so even TKers.
Yes.
Not our preschoolers though, or maybe.
I'll look into that. That's a good question.
Because we were focusing on the wellness center, and that's
Yeah.
why I asked. Elementary.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. No further comments or questions or concerns or discussion from the board. Thank you two very
Thank
much.
you.
Best of luck this year and really exciting program. Okay, now we will take a short 5-minute break for everyone. Stretch your legs, use the restroom, or do whatever you want for 5 minutes. We'll be back at 8:09. Thank you. Mr. Rogers, are we back? Thank you. Thank you all to the back. Please round of applause for our tech folks. Don't have to applaud, but thank you. Okay, now we'll go on to agenda item 8.1. This is human resources. This is an action item. It's consideration and approval of unrepresented groups stipend schedule. Pretty self-explanatory, but Dr. Knox?
Yeah, I just wanted to add a little background. We had intended with our sunshine letter with CSEA to address these groups, and in negotiations, through the conversation, we realized they are actually not identified as part of the bargaining group. They're unrepresented. So that's why it's coming to you separate, but it's been long overdue for us to align, especially our coaching stipends, closer to our certificated staff. As you know, we updated our stipends for our certificated staff recently. And then there's a couple stipends that we've added there that we feel important that we indicate the non-certificated amount that we would pay staff for those services. So yeah. Any other questions?
I don't have any. Seeing none from the board, I'll move to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Trustee Halverson. All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Yes, that passes 4-0. Thank you. Now we'll go on to agenda item 8.2. We're used to seeing this. Local board authorization for the 2025-26 school year per education code. It's an action item. Pretty self-explanatory. Any questions from the board? Seeing none.
Welcome back, Jermaine.
Yeah, absolutely. Welcome back. Would you like to make the motion,
I'll
Trustee?
move to approve.
So moved. Is there a second? I'll second it. Second by Trustee Reyes. All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Yes. That passes 4-0, and absolutely welcome back, Jermaine. Here we go. Agenda item 9.1, approval of criteria for the State Seal of Civic Engagement Program. Really exciting stuff here. Dr. Knox, take it away.
Sure. For, a quick announcement, this is a really exciting, relatively new state seal from the state of California. So this is a seal that goes on a student's diploma if they complete these criteria when they graduate. And so it's got several criteria that students would have to accomplish. The biggest ones are being part of some of our bigger engagement groups, such as leadership, and I'm forgetting them now because they're not in front of me, but the addition of a group called Town Hall, which a student organized a few years back, but now I'm going to be helping to facilitate it for the future. I've kind of mentioned this to you guys in the past that we want to bring voices of a large group of students to meet with me to talk about issues that we discuss at the board level, and then also from there identify students who would be our student board reps. So this is kind of connected to that. They don't have to be student reps on the board here to get the State Seal of Civic Engagement, but they will be connected and somewhat related. So this is exciting. We have other districts in the state that are taking the lead. And so I begged, borrowed, and stole from other districts to produce this document, but we did have input from Nordhoff Leadership and Bronwyn Cold Michaels. So it did have some engagement from that staff as well, as far as adding things and changing things and editing things. I did actually, in a board update, provide all you a copy of one draft. And so I think one or two of you gave me a little bit of feedback as well that went into the final document. But ultimately, this is an exciting new program, if you will, for our students in high school to participate in. And it does not limit the fact that Summit students could also engage in similar criteria to earn the seal as well. So we'll be rolling it out there as well.
Any questions first before we get to comments? Okay.
Just legacy also, legacy students. Mm-hmm.
I'll be very quick. Cheryl, Dr. Knox, this is fantastic. This is unbelievable. So I support it wholeheartedly. I really appreciate too. I learned what I think probably is more effective when I got on this board. I was really interested as, I guess I won't be so quick, but I'll get to it. Sorry. I was really interested in a student rep. I was really interested in a student rep on the board, and then learning, that's good. But how about we create a much larger, sustainable student engagement, civic engagement body that also educates and trains a lot of students to be a part of that. So that way we are casting a wider net. But I'll just be very clear. Democracies depend on informed residents and informed people in their systems, informed and educated people who understand their government. We need young people. We need everyone to understand our system here. And that's our main job in this school district, is to educate the next generation of leaders. We don't always, I don't say OI Unified, I think in general, we don't often hit the mark on understanding democracy and our government, how our government systems work. It's taken me a while working in government to figure that out. But I really, really appreciate this. And I will absolutely offer anytime you'd ever like for them to hear from a younger person who has worked in government. So anyways, I'll end it there.
I'll just add that Mayor Andy Gilman also is going to be a guest at some of the town hall meetings as well. And the hope is that some of our students will also join the city council as well. So
I just have one comment. In the future, I'd like for us to explore the possibility of broadening the criterion number 3. It lists 4 different methods of demonstrating the civic skills. I think we should be as expansive as possible in the types of things that might be deemed suitable for criteria number 3. Now, I understand there are questions with oversight and supervision and making sure that these are appropriate programs. I get that. It's perfect. Just like y'all, if some things pop up that you think could be suitable for criteria 3, to consider adding to it.
Okay, seeing no further questions or concerns. Let's see, this is an action item, so I'll move to approve. Moved by Trustee Reyes. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Trustee Smith. All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Yes, that passes 4-0. Thank you. Now we'll go on to agenda item. We don't have anything on 10. Agenda item 11.1. This is Measure J and K, Project's Monthly Report. Thank you for being here, Kelly. Take it away.
Thanks for having me. My name's Kelly Haslam. I'm the construction coordinator for the district and the bond projects. It's been a busy summer. Some highlights are the CD quad renovation. We infilled the old pool, and we did do a classroom refresh at Nordhoff. Paving in the interior of Miners Oak School turned out wonderful. So if you guys have any questions on the report, let me know.
Miners Oak still is FFA still using the back area of that parking lot?
Yes, on the field part.
Okay.
And I actually just talked to a member of the community at something, and she said, "Oh yeah, my son just did a pig for FFA." So I asked, "Oh, was it at the barn at Myers?" She said, "Yeah, it was fantastic." So awesome.
About at the fair.
Yeah. Any questions on this agenda item for Kelly? Okay, thank you, Kelly. Really appreciate it. And you're getting in the agenda quite earlier than Mr. Allen White used to have to get into, so it's good.
My phone's buzzing right here.
Now we'll go on to agenda item 11.2. This is ratification of the ADA general engineering contract for construction work on the CD quad. It is an action item. First, are there any questions from the board? Or Dr. Knox? Yes.
I just want to point out that we have photos of it if you didn't notice them in the actual agenda, but they're also pulled up for our audience. So we this construction company finished very quickly. We are very, very grateful because not only did they finish before school started, but they finished before Ranger Roundup tomorrow. So we're very excited.
They did a wonderful job.
I really appreciate it because I was literally wondering, Trustee Munter said it looks really good and I hadn't seen it, but that is absolutely fantastic. Oh, look at that. Okay, awesome. Okay. Any questions or concerns?
No, the only question I had was on the pricing, because I thought we had approved this project a while ago, and my understanding was we approved it at 220,000 and came in a little bit higher than that. So we're being asked to kind of reapprove the new amount at 248.
You did not approve it before. You approved giving me
Authorized it.
permission up to 220,000. It did come in a little bit above, and so I took my authority with the amount that I am allowed to approve. We all, as you know, the discussion was this is a very important project for us to get done in a timely manner, and so that's where we ended up. It did fall into the formal bidding process, but we covered every single criteria to meet the formal bidding process to cover that.
Okay. Seems like money well spent.
It turned out wonderful.
Any questions? Seeing none, is there a motion to approve?
Move to approve.
So moved. Thank you for the look at that. So moved by Trustee Smith. I'll second it. Second by Trustee Reyes. All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Yes. That passes 4-0. Thank you. Now we'll go on to agenda item 11.3. This is also an action item, ratification of the ADA General Engineering change order for the CD quad renovation at Nordoff. It's just the change order. First, any questions from the board on the change order? Okay. Seeing none, is there a motion to approve?
I'll move to approve.
So moved by Trustee Smith.
Second.
Second by Trustee Montrosh. All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Yes. Passes 4-0. Thank you. Now we'll go on to updates on the Nordoff Stadium and pool projects, information items. So take it away, Kelly.
The pool's going great. Today, actually, we had the health inspection for the pre-plaster. So we passed that. So we're able to plaster and fill the pool on the 19th. So that will be going. We got the scoreboard, bleachers installed. I'm not sure if you guys saw that on the walk, if it was up yet. But
No, when I walked it was they had just put up the stands where they would put the scoreboard. Yeah, can we
Here's
see?
some pictures. I also just sorry for the late download, but okay. We'll do our monthly time lapse video.
Yeah, I was gonna ask. So but Kelly, you said something. So we're able to fill August 19th, fill it with water?
Yes, sir.
Wow.
Be water in it on the first day of school. Nice.
It'll probably be filling. Actually, it's quite a big pool. It's gonna take
Yeah,
it's
be
gonna take
filling.
days.
It might be filled by the winter break. No.
According, I asked that question actually of the general contractor. They said no. We'll have enough. No, they're just gonna open the spigot apparently.
Wait, no, actually, yeah, sorry. Serious question. How long do we think it will take to fill up?
The calendar has 3 days
3 days.
to
Got it.
plaster and fill.
Got it.
The plaster cures underwater, so they have to fill it as soon as they are plastering it.
Can't let it sit out.
Yeah.
And sorry, can you go back to those pictures? Just there was
fencing is all around it right now too, because that's necessary for us to fill.
so there we go, right there, and then
That's the bleachers.
There's the
Scoreboard.
scoreboard.
The outdoor showers.
Outdoor showers look amazing.
thank you. And I believe then we have oh, here we go. Do we have music?
Always
Okay.
come
Gotta have the
And don't speed it up. Don't Trustee Brainy was here. She'd say, no, play it from the beginning. Unbelievable. Thank you. Thank you for showing us that. So
One big thing that Taft Electric's been working well, just to get the electricity to the complex to push this. So they've been wonderful.
No, thank you. Thanks for telling us that, Kelly. And so I believe the question's going to be, if I'm not mistaken, do we have an idea of when we're opening this thing? And
Well, the contract calls for Balfour Beatty to complete the pool on September 19th. So they have until the 19th. We were looking at, I'll call it substantial completion by about the 5th. And it looks like they'll have a few remaining small items to do between the 5th and the 19th. And so we're probably targeting the end of September for kind of like a grand opening, ribbon cutting. We want to let them finish up. But as you heard, by the middle of next week, there's going to be water in the pool. So, you know, it's coming along very, very well, very nicely. And they're just going to be buttoning things up for the next few weeks.
I walked by the other day and asked a guy who seemed to be in charge of things, and he said he was thinking about September 5th or 6th to be pretty much finished with everything. And he said that it was his thought that it would actually be open for use before the end of September. That's what he said to me.
in line with yours, Kevin. Trustee Smith?
When you were talking about the old pool, I'm blinded by the new pool. When I went to walk it, I didn't go back to look at the old pool area. I'm guessing that since you filled in the pool, you've also removed the wall and the old equipment room.
No, those are still there.
They're still there. Are they
Yeah,
coming
just,
out?
we haven't decided what we're going to do with that yet.
We just made the area safe, filled it in, and it'll be a future discussion what we do with that space.
Have we removed the old heaters and pumps
all the
and
heaters
all
out.
that equipment is out? Okay.
And I like that it's still up because we may be able to do stuff with those buildings if they're still safe and, you know, handball courts. I'd like maybe a garden or something, some green space. Okay. We're going to get to the Nordhoff Stadium, so I'll hold my questions for that in the next agenda item. But seeing nothing further, we'll continue on to agenda item 11.5, Nordhoff Stadium project delivery method. It's discussion. Sorry, it's an action item. It's a discussion right there. It's an action item. But go ahead, take it away, either Mr. Olson, Kelly.
Okay.
Tell us what's going on here.
I'll take this one. And so I have a little slide deck attached, but I'm going to start by just setting the framework of where we're at with the project. So it is still with DSA. There's been some back and forth, and you know, the board has been receiving updates for the last year. Southern Bleacher, who designs the bleacher system, they design it, that gets incorporated into the architect's drawings and then submitted each time. And so that's the main focus. There was quite a bit of back and forth over the prior year about the geological tests and the way that the framing and the foundation was going to be, you know, set up. It was going to be on these pylons. And so before the last submission, we decided to change everything and go with a big slab, since we knew we wanted a slab underneath it anyway. We were going to go back in after they did the pylons and finish it up. We said, might as well include it all in here. It'll be stronger and better. And we hoped for approval at that point. But of course, this is the first time that DSA is seeing a slab instead of pylons, so it came back with a lot of red ink all over it. So needless to say, you know, at time of publishing this, we thought we were any day from getting an approval, but it looks like we're still a month plus out, a month or two potentially. So it does, you know, it takes away a little bit of the urgency of a decision on the project delivery method, but it also means, you know, we're still waiting to get all this rolling for us and get the bleachers built.
If I could just ask that,
Yeah.
so the delay in the DSA approval, because right here on the slide, you know, it says August. If it pushes us back, does that mean we're looking at potentially a November, you know, completion, or December, or do we have an idea? I know it's hard. We're still waiting on DSA to
No,
clarify.
and that was kind of start construction was October, and that would be because, again, Southern Bleacher needs to get approval of the design before they're going to start fabricating. Similar goes with the lighting system from Musco. they need to have an approved design in hand before they'll fabricate, which can take maybe 3 months from that point. So really, we're talking about getting DSA approval, and then figuring out our project delivery method, meaning are we going to hire a general contractor? Are we going to do a lease back to a general contractor? Or as one of our discussions tonight would be what's called multi-priming. And we can multi-prime directly. Basically, Kelly and I become the general contractors and we hire all the subs individually and we manage the project. Or we can do what's called a CM, a construction manager multi-prime, where we do hire a third party who ends up working for us directly, and we collaborate on multi-priming. So anyways, I'm getting ahead a little bit, but you just know that, yeah, the timeline presented at the end here is shifted a couple of months, and the goal as we were going into this meeting was probably to have bleachers for the soccer season. May or may not. It's hard to say now. Probably track. Yeah, maybe.
We're not the only ones having a tough time with DSA right now.
They're slowing down, yeah, and they seem to be nitpicking this particular project quite a bit for some reason. So geological just doesn't like the foundation and the bleachers out there in the dirt there.
We did get the clearance.
For the posts. Yeah, okay.
So continue. Sorry, Mr. Olson. I
Okay.
know we're-
So tonight we wanted to talk about project delivery method, which is really how we're going to contract for the construction. And generally, there's 3 different methods we were going to talk about tonight, which is traditional. We call it design, bid, build. We've already done the designing, right? We've already contracted with our own architect, which is why we're not going to talk about what would be referred to as a design, build, singular contract. You might do that before you've designed anything. So this is design, bid, build. So you design it, you get your approvals, you go out to bid. It's a low bidder environment. So the lowest bid, as long as they meet all minimum qualifications, they get it, they have to perform. The other project delivery method that we utilized for the pool just last time is a leaseback. And the final one we'll talk about is, as I mentioned, the construction manager multi-prime. So I'd like to go to the design, bid, build. Thank you. Sorry. So advantages may result in a lower cost. So again, it's a low bid environment. So you just get the low bid, and you get a general who's going to do all of the dealing with all of the different subs, right? Disadvantages: sometimes a low bid environment encourages generals to have lots of change orders, right? Their intent is that, you know, they're going to get in low, but they figure we're going to make 30% more on, you know, change orders or other things, right? Also, to get a low bid, even a good general contractor in a low bid environment, they've got to work with subs who are giving them all their low bids, right? And so if they might work with a sub who's giving them a really great price that they might not have worked with, you know, lately. And so there might be internal then problems between subcontractors, generals, which, you know, flows downhill to us, right? So it can create a contentious environment. It's reasonable for smaller projects, just to go traditional hard bid and try to get them done. But for higher profile projects, things, you know, we have a budget of about $4 million probably for this project, and it's important to us to get this done. It's towards the end of our bond program where we don't have a lot of extra funds for overruns, and so we're not recommending this method tonight, but it is a very standard method, and so we kept it on the list, and absolutely a possibility if the board just wanted to go with this. So the second method, leaseback, again, the board's very familiar with this. We just did it for our pool. It's yielded a project on schedule, on budget, and has been a very manageable process for administration here. I mean, it is weekly meetings and a certain amount of back and forth, but it's been a smooth project to build a $15+ million pool in 1 year. Very, very well run, well organized, you know, delivered project. Disadvantages, it can be more complicated as far as contracting, work with legal to make sure you cross all your T's, dot all your I's. And it can take a little bit longer to get the whole process going because the board has to approve. There's both just a, you need to approve the fact that we're going to use that project delivery method in its own resolution. And then the board needs to approve the rationale for selection in its own, a rubric, which we'll need to work with legal to create those. We could potentially bring those at the next meeting if the board was interested. And at this point, there's time if we wanted to do that. There are also limitations on, there's a minimum size for leaseback, which I'll need to investigate a little bit because my understanding is around a $3 million threshold. I believe this is over that, but I'd want to confirm with legal. So we would need to work with legal a certain amount in order to bring this, utilize this method. And again, my concern with this method coming into this meeting or before was that if we had DSA approval in hand, last week or, early this week, we really wanted to get this moving and leaseback might slow us down a little bit. Now we might have time to consider it more. And so moving into the meeting or hoping to have DSA approval soon, we were really considering the construction manager multi-prime delivery method. And that's really, so the project again is about 90%, 80 to 90% of this project is Southern Bleacher. They've designed the whole thing. They're going to construct and build it, and they're going to fabricate it, and they're going to build it. They're going to pour the concrete under it. They're going to put the whole thing up. They're going to do the whole thing. So 80 to 90% of the project is one subcontractor, right? It's a single source, one subcontractor. And so if we use either of the other two methods, there's going to be a general contractor who's going to have their charge, direct percentages of cost and overhead, to basically pass a lot of that just down, 80 to 90% of that down to Southern Bleacher. There are still a few other trades that need to be organized, right? And, at this point, we don't feel like we want to just multi-prime it ourselves without a construction manager, right? Meaning we would individually bid out each. So Southern Bleacher is one, but there is Musco still. There's some hardscape. There's some fencing. There's some landscaping. So there's probably 5 different subcontractors. Each one of those is, when you multi-prime, each one of those is a bid packet that has to hit the street. You have to evaluate the bids. You have to make sure you do it right. And then you have to manage the contractor that they perform. And so what this process is, we would use an RFP to go out for the services of construction manager for this one project. That construction manager, and we could do what's called a construction manager at risk. They actually take on some of the liability, but you're paying basically an hourly service for their work instead of project overhead and cost and profit to a general. And, so that was the delivery method that I think that administration and staff was leaning towards. We think it's manageable. We think we can do it fast. It'll control cost. And it'll be very transparent for everybody about where all the costs are coming from, who we're working with, and the progress throughout.
Question. Oh, you finished? I'm sorry.
Yep.
Okay, question. Southern's gonna do the foundation and build the bleachers and put the bleachers on the foundation, right?
Yep.
Okay. Musco's gonna do the lighting and they'll install the lighting, right?
They'll probably have a subcontractor.
They'll be in charge of installing the lighting though? Okay. I understand, if I remember correctly, we have architects who have got plans for an access road that goes back behind the bleachers and some landscaping and fencing and other stuff like that, right? So that's already, those plans are already exist, right?
Yes.
Okay. So why isn't it possible for Mr. Haslam and you to handle this if we've got all that already accomplished? No, Mr. Olson was suggesting hiring a construction manager rather than he and Mr. Haslam doing it.
Well, again, it being a very important project to the district, wanting it to go smoothly, I don't think this would be the opportunity for us to jump into the pool that we're going to finish, head first. Right. So, I have never personally managed multi-priming a project. Kelly has never personally managed multi-priming a project. So it would be our first go at it. And I think that having a services of a construction managing service would be well worth the investment.
I'm not necessarily arguing with it. I just want to find out why you all think it would be wise for us to hire a construction manager to do this when it seems like pretty much everything is in place already.
We were highly considering it, but talking to many industry professionals, other school districts, I think it is not something that school districts do very traditionally. Multi-priming, there's certain situations kind of like this, but even then, you have to make sure that you have a very seasoned construction manager on hand. Who knows that process, who's done, has a lot of projects under their belt. And I'll be honest, that is not Kelly or myself right now. And we have a lot of other things pulling us in many directions.
Haslam, you agree with that recommendation?
Yeah, I agree.
Okay.
I want to do what's best for the district.
Pardon?
I want to do what's best for the district.
All right.
It's also not the only project. I mean, as Kelly said, it's been a busy summer. We have lots of other little things that we're going to be finishing up, buttoning up. And so I feel like that would be a good investment on our side to pay for that services for this project.
And the two of you would kind of ride herd over the construction manager and theoretically get a construction manager at partial risk so that he or she bears some of the risk if there's overruns or delays or stuff like that.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Definitely over.
I've seen this project in this process in use, and I've seen construction managers, take some responsibility when there were some change orders that were extreme, and they said, okay, well, we have risk policies, for this reason, we help to buffer risk for the district as well. Mm-hmm.
I guess those were my questions. Thank
I
you.
do. Something, and that you may have already covered this in one of the other options, but there are some things where the lowest bid gets the job. Is that the case in this, that the lowest bid would become the construction manager to finish the project, or is it a competitive, not just based on price?
Absolutely. So for the construction manager, we would use an RFP process since it's services, and we would be able to consider more than just the price that they're going to charge us, but the rest of their resume essentially, right? So for the construction manager, it would be an RFP. And then, interestingly enough, all the subs would pretty much be a low bid environment. So for each individual trade within the construction project, we'll just run a low bid environment, hit the street, get our bids, go for it.
Okay. The board obviously approves the contract for the construction managers. Does the board approve the contracts for the subcontractors, or is that up to the construction manager?
You would see everything.
Okay. And approve everything?
Yeah.
Okay.
How do our two existing contractors, the folks, Southern Bleacher and the lighting contractors, fit into this scenario? They've done the work. I mean, they've been part of the process.
Mm-hmm.
They've been contacted about it. They would have to apply a bid as well as anyone else.
So specifically, Southern Bleacher is what's called a single source. And so there are government codes that allow us to single source. They're the only ones making this specific item. They've designed it. And so it's no longer a low bid environment for them. It just is. And any construction manager, any contractor, general contractor that we chose, they would have to use that set of bleachers from Southern Bleacher. Musco, I'm not sure 100% if they would fall under that, because lighting, there are multiple companies that make lighting. We've just worked with them so far on calling out their product and designing it. And generally, within architectures, with architecture, when they call out a product on their design, then you buy that product. So, so again, Musco lights have been spec'd, so the general would have to procure the Musco lighting.
Okay, I'm a little uncomfortable with it because If we had staff still in place, we probably wouldn't be talking about this right now. And we've probably already asked them for detailed information. And so I feel a little bad about not continuing on with a vendor who might expect to be part of this project, especially if they've already purchased things, but I get it, that's on them. So, okay, that's where we
I
are.
don't,
And the architects, quite frankly, also who have designed the plans for the access roads and the fencing and all that stuff too.
yeah, I don't think we're not ending a relationship with anybody. Yeah.
So, okay. I'm trying to,
And so
yes.
I guess tonight it for the most part can be more informative and directional. You
Yeah,
can just
that
give me
was-
direction.
yeah.
There,
If-
there is nothing to take action on directly tonight. You can just say you're interested in next month hearing more about two of these, you know, eliminate one, or that you really like one and I should, you know, if you like lease back and you wanted to go that way, I would want to start working with legal to bring you those documents. But if you're, so that's really the direction that I'm interested in hearing the board, you know.
We lose more control over in either option 1 or 2 than in 3. We have more control ourselves in option number 3. Whether staff does it, and staff is telling us they would rather have oversee a general contractor than be the general contractor themselves, basically. But we have more control in option number 3. As far as I'm concerned, I would go with option number 3
Yep,
in a heartbeat.
I agree. And it did come as a potential action item, correct?
Yeah, it is.
It did come as a potential action item. We were hoping to also have lease back documents ready if that's what you chose, and then that would have become, you know, action would have been needed to.
We're so far down the road, I'd personally like to keep as much control in-house as we can possibly keep it in-house and just have the two of you ride herd over whoever we pick as the construction manager.
Right.
I'm inclined option 3. I just want it to be done well. This is not only needed, this has been offline for a while, but it's also the first thing people see when they see our biggest campus, Nordoff High School. So I'm trusting you all. If you all are saying option 3 gets, I really appreciate the honesty too about you're finishing up a pool. There's all this other stuff you all are working on. Let's get someone here who can make sure we deliver the best thing for I really appreciate that, Kelly. So I'm not a contractor, but I'm inclined to go with option 3.
The best project, and no reason, in my opinion, to put it off another month. We already have delays. As soon as we can get this going and be ready when we have DSA approval, the better.
Absolutely. So I'll work to finish up the RFP, and we'll get that out so that hopefully at the next meeting we'll have maybe a contract, you know, with a construction management firm for the board to consider.
I'm ready to make a motion that we approve option number 3 as our go-forward delivery method on this project, with the sub-option that you all have recommended, that you all basically supervise a construction manager to handle it.
The motion, is there a second?
Second.
Second by trustee Halverson. All those in favor say
Yes.
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 Yes, that passes 4-0. Thank you. Now we'll go on to agenda item 11.6. This is our workforce housing update. It is just an information item, but Mr. Olson, take it away.
Okay, our monthly update on workforce housing. Since we had our special board meeting last month, where we, you know, spent hours discussing workforce housing, I only have general updates. We've obviously, staff has worked with onboarding RNT, the architectural firm that we selected, and their subs. RNT's been working on ordering all of the reports, topographic studies, engineering studies, so on, about the location. We've had monthly or weekly and biweekly meetings between RNT and Brookwood to discuss, you know, continuing to update the feasibility study, to fold in potential designs, how to evaluate the costs of different movements of buildings and structures, how to incorporate the different requirements of financing needs like LIHTC. So consistent conversations, hour-long scheduled meetings that end up going 2 hours long. And so I think the big item here tonight for the board to consider is that part of R&T's contract, part of their proposal was that they do some community engagement. They feel it's important. I know it's also a pillar that we feel is important to always engage our community. And so it's time that we start getting some more information from the community. R&T has been able to wrap their head around the project and do enough site survey to have a list of items that they feel comfortable presenting to the community and asking about input, which are here for the board's review tonight. We have thrown a dart at August 27th in the Chaparral Auditorium from 4 to 7 as soon as that we can be ready and incorporate that information, hopefully into some presentations in September, October. And so we want to get the board's, blessing tonight to go ahead with engaging the community on the 27th from 4 to 7. We felt like 4 to 7 is a good middle zone. It's, before dinner time when people are generally out, you're off work, it's before dinner. It's a 3 hour, it'll just be a drop-in, deal. It's not a presentation for people to listen to. There'll be a bunch of stations with these particular items and sticky notes, and people will just go around and give input. And so it'll be drop-in for the community between 4 and 7, whenever they're available. Architects will be there. I'll be there. Hopefully some board members will join us and see what's going on, as you guys always do, because you're very involved. And we'll go from there. That is the update.
I appreciate that, Mr. Olson, and absolutely, for me, yes, community input session. I know Trustee Brandy isn't here tonight, and I don't want to assume what she would say, but I'm almost positive she would say yes, community input, and that's where I am too as well. Trustee Iverson.
Kimberly, want to make sure we get it in the paper, either in an article, an editorial, or an ad, so that this is all three. That sounds good. Yeah, because it's just, and with the idea that it's a drop in, drop out, because nobody's going to go anywhere to a 3-hour meeting at those 3 hours. So,
Absolutely.
And not me either. I'll be there for a little while, but I think if people know they can come in, they can get their questions answered, they can look at some rough sort of ideas, and they have the opportunity to give their input. It would seem to me that's better than sitting and looking at a 3-hour presentation.
Absolutely. And actually, R&T is already working on an ad to go in the paper about this, so they'll have the design of the ad. So might as well utilize your resources, right? They're good designers. They can design the ad. So they're designing the ad, and we'll continue to work with the paper to get the word out.
Fantastic. I think hopefully a lot of folks will show up with ideas and comments.
I'd also like to suggest just a few refreshments perhaps be there, just to attract people, to at least water for the people who are there for a while.
I completely agree with that. Okay, no further questions on this workforce housing update. Fantastic. Now we'll go on to our last agenda item, future agenda items and parking lot report. Anything from trustees on these items here? Don't believe so. So, okay. Oh my gosh. We can adjourn this meeting at 8:57 p.m. Thank you all.
Before 9 o'clock.